Everybody, John chapter number 9 is where I want to anchor our time together today. John chapter number 9 is where I want to anchor our time. I want to remind you all that we're in this series called What's Going On With Me? What's going on with me? Is there anybody who could just be honest enough in the chat, whether you're watching this on Facebook, watching this on YouTube, watching this on Church Online, anybody just be honest enough? Just say, man, there's sometimes I'm just like, yo, what's going on with me? Like what's happening with me? Anybody can relate to that? You're like, yo, what's really going on? And today I want to dive deeper into that because if we don't take the time to figure out what's going on with me, then we will forever be running in the same cycles that God intends for us to break and to step out of. If we don't stop and take a moment to reflect and to consider why we are where we are, how we are where we are, how we got to where we are, we'll never be able to step out of where we are into where it is we've been created to go and into who it is we've been created to be. And I just want to dive deeper into it. All right. So, John chapter number 9, here's how it reads in my Bible. As he went along, he saw a blind man from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. After saying this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with saliva, and put it on the man's eyes, saying, Go, he told him, wash in the pool of Siloam. This word means sent. So the man went and washed and came home seeing. His neighbors, or said it again, the man went, washed, came back seeing, right? We following? So then it says that his neighbors and those who had formerly seen him begged him, asking, Isn't this the same man? They used to sit and beg. Some claimed that he was. Others said, No, he only looks like the man, but he himself said, Yeah, that's me. He said, I'm the man. How then were your eyes open? They asked. He replied, The man they call Jesus took some mud, put it on my eyes, and told me to go to Siloam and wash. So I went and washed, and then I could see. Where is this man? They asked him. I don't know. He like, look, he did what I needed him to do. I let him go do his thing. I don't know. I want to read just a little bit more. So here's what happens next. I'm going to paraphrase verse 13 to 34 for you, right? Because it's a very interesting dialogue, but I think it will help make sense for what's going on here, right? Like the Pharisees are like, who did this? It's the Sabbath. How dare somebody heal you on the Sabbath? He like, look, all I know is this. Here's what I know. I know that this man, he took some mud. He put the mud on my eyes. I washed. Now I see. And they continue to have this dialogue. Like they're so perplexed by this that they end up going to talk. They call his parents. Parents, what happened? What's going on with your son? They claiming your son can see. What's happening? They respond back by saying, look, my son is of age. Whatever my son told you is what it is. It is what it is. It's what he said. They're like, all right, whatever. They call the parents back. He say it again. We don't know. He'll speak for himself. They call the boy back. The boy say, look, I done told you already. I don't know if you listen. Why you want to hear it again? The man who told me to do this. I did it. And now I'm better. That's the story. All right. I want to give you the story, but I want to take you back to John chapter 9, verse number 1. Verse number 2, his disciples. Number 1, actually. Verse number 1. As he went along, he saw a blind man from birth. Disciples asked him, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Verse 3, neither this man nor his parents sinned, Jesus said, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. For the time we have together, I want to tag our brief exchange. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? Now, Many of you all have heard this phrase being expressed more commonly now than it did before, but it's a phrase that's been said from forever, right? It's like, why am I like this in terms of a struggle, or why am I like this in terms of why I can't get over a cycle? Why am I like this in terms of this? But it's been coined as a phrase that's used more frequently. It was a song that came out, I think it was last year, but it was this notion of dedicated to the people who are kind of overly anxious, and the song even plays out in this way of like the moments where she wished that she had acted differently, where she wished she had did something else in the moment, and she's saying, but why am I like this? Have you, and some of y'all are like, you're caught up with like modern day vernacular, so it's a phrase you may use more frequently than others, but the truth of the matter is all of us have moments in life where it's like, yo, why am I like this? I'm trying to get over something, I'm trying to get through something, I'm trying to overcome something, but I feel anxious. I feel tense. I feel worried. I feel concerned. I feel stuck. I feel stagnant. I feel paralyzed. I feel like I'm on pause. I feel like I'm broken on the inside. Why am I like this? I caught Empowerment Online last week. I got off of church feeling motivated and excited, inspired and empowered. And then by 8 p.m. on Sunday, I was frustrated, fatigued. I was flustered all over again. Why am I like this? I said my prayer in the morning. I started my negativity fast. I was doing real good at 8 a.m. on Monday, but about 8:35 on Monday came around, and I was cussing, I was fussing, I was complaining, I was stressed, I was strained. Why am I? Y'all tracking with me so far? Why am I like this? Now, if you're not going to be honest with me about the fact that you have either actually asked yourself that question, actually made that statement, or at least have moments of conversation in yourself about yourself where you had to think about yourself long enough and be like, yo, why am I like this? If we're not going to be able to at least be honest about that, we're not going to make very much progress today in terms of our development. Now, when I say our, I'm really being kind and kind when I say it, because the truth of the matter is I'm willing to be honest with myself about myself so I can evaluate myself and take steps toward progress for myself. So I'm saying it that we'll get better together because we're having this conversation and discourse and dialogue together. However, I know I'm going to take the notes from this message, reflect them over my life, ask God, what would you have me to do with this, so that ultimately I no longer keep tripping over what I've been falling down in. So my hope, my consideration, my plea, my prayer is that you too will make the same kind of decision so that none of us will continue to keep falling the same way that we fell before. Am I making sense so far? So we're there, and he said he makes this claim. He says, why am I? They're trying to figure out now. Now he's probably been trying to figure it out for himself, right? Now he's been born blind, and to be born blind in that day was said to be some form of a sin. To be born blind, to have these issues from birth, typically and traditionally, customarily, that it was said to be there was some reason for your abnormality. There was somebody who was at fault for the reason why you are where you are. So if he's asking himself it, and then he's got other people around asking themselves it, how do you think that kind of life is causing you to be lived? Man, and I said you, I was trying to say him, but the truth of the matter is, I guess the truth came out early. I'm really wondering about you. Now, here's what happens, right? The more we read it, here's what the people say when the man starts getting better, right? When the man gets better in verse number 9, it says, is that the same man? Verse number 8, the neighbor said, isn't this the same man who used to be begging? The same man who used to sit and beg? I pulled it out for this reason. When you're blind, a lot of things happen. When you're blind, you have to ask for the assistance of other people perpetually, because there are things you cannot do for yourself. When you're blind, especially in that day, there was no way for you to be able to have a livelihood for yourself. So you had to ask people to help you get to where you needed to go. You had to ask people and beg people to help you provide for your daily needs. You had to ask people to help you, that way you wouldn't keep falling into the same falls, running into the same walls. You had to be found in a place of always needing assistance for somebody, for something. He was a beggar. He was a blind beggar. He was blind, and his blindness was causing him to be broke. He was blind, and his blindness was causing him to have this blame happen. He was blind, and the blindness was leading to all these other things. Y'all hear it so far? Because when you're blind, it impacts more than just your sight. When you can't see clearly, it impacts more than just what you see. When you can't see clearly, it impacts what you say. When you can't see clearly, it impacts what you do. When you can't see clearly, it impacts how you choose. Y'all hear? Because I'm not talking about the man no more. I'm talking about you. The fact that some of us can't see clearly is impacting what you're saying. The fact that some of us can't see clearly is impacting the people who are directly in our lives and who we remain in association with unnecessarily. The fact that we can't see clearly is the reason why some of us are finding ourselves continually and perpetually going through the same cycles when God called us to break the cycle and step into a new being. Here it is, though. It's interesting because as they go through this dialogue, as they go through this story, as they lay out what ends up happening here, they begin to enter into a conversation. And what I want to invite you today, Joy, or you today, Ashley, or you today, Regina, or you today, Vicky, or whoever else is in the chat right there, whoever else may, I want to invite you into this conversation that happens with Jesus and the disciples. But I also want to invite you into this conversation that God wants to have with you. Now, this series, just like most, but I'll give you a disclaimer early. That way, if you want to hop off, if you need to hop off, I'll give you permission to hop off. This conversation we'll have today is restricted for people who want to get better and live better. This conversation today is restricted for people who actually want to have an honest conversation about themselves, with themselves, so that we can step out of ourselves and step into the people God created us to be. Because if you're not going to be real with yourself, you're not going to be real with God. If you're not going to be real with yourself, you're probably not going to be real with me. If you're not going to be real with God, if you're not going to be real with me, if you're not going to be real with yourself, you're probably not going to be able to step out of where you are to step into who you've been created to be. So it's open for anybody who wants to hear, but it's restricted for people who want to get better and live better. Because this message is really based upon a conviction that becoming better is not a figment of our imaginations. That getting better isn't just something that we say, but not something we experience. That getting better isn't something that we should just have to pray for and not believe could actually take place in our life. That getting better is a real possibility. That getting better is actually an invitation to experience the manifestation of the power and presence of God working in your life and through your life. Better. That better is possible, but better is a process. Better is possible, but better is a process. Better is not just about behavior modification, right? Better is about a life that pursues life transformation. So I don't want temporary change. I want actual life transformation. I don't want to just stop doing what I did yesterday. I no longer want to be who I was yesterday. And if you're getting this message today, whenever today may be for you, I have to let you know something. I have to let you know that if God is sending you this message today, whenever today may be for you, it's because a future you is calling you. It's because a different you is calling you. A refined you is calling you. Latanya, a future you is calling you. And here it is. Some of us, if we're going to be honest, I want to just jump right into it. I don't have a lot of notes today. I just want to give you what God gave me to give to you, and I'll let you go. Because here it is. Some of you all have been allowing your past to create limits for what's possible for your future. But your limits are based on what you haven't done or haven't experienced yet. When God perpetually is speaking to you in your present about your future, but you keep talking to God about your past, your limits are the limitations, your perceived limitations that you are believing to be true about you are based upon your past experiences. While God is speaking to you today in your present, and He's speaking to you today in your present about the future you He's calling you to, and you keep talking about your past. But He's like, yeah, what about your future? Because your future ain't just about you. Your future It's about the people you're called to reach. Your future is about the families you're called to change. Your future is about the communities you're called to make a difference in. Your future is waiting on you, and you're arguing with God in your present because of your past. And He's not talking to you about your past. He's talking to you about your future. And anybody that would like to argue it, I'm not going to argue with you because I ain't arguing with nobody. But I would encourage you to read your Bible, because as you search these 66 books, you will discover that God does not engage in deep dialogue with people about their past. Instead, He engages in the possibilities of wholeness and healing for their future. I can think of people all throughout Scripture who wanted to argue with God about who they were. And the only thing He would say to them in their present is, stop talking about that, because I'm not talking to you about who you were. I understand who you were. I'm glad you understand who you were, but who you were ain't who you are. Is there anybody watching this right now, listening to this? Maybe you eavesdropping on this conversation, that maybe that needs to be your new declaration. I'm not who I was. I'm not who I was. I'm not who I was. I made decisions back then because I was somebody different back then, but I'm not who I was. I'm wiser now. I'm stronger now. I'm better now. I'm more focused now. I'm more clear now. I may not be all that I'm supposed to be, but I am not who I was. I may not be the fullness of who God created me to be yet, but I'm not who I was. I may not make decisions the best way all the time, but I doggone sure don't make decisions the same way I used to make them before. I'm not who I was, and I'm not going to keep allowing my past to talk to me about my future. Why am I like this? Because here's the answer that some of us give back to ourselves when that question is asked. When that question is asked, some of the time we respond back to ourselves and say, I'm like this, I'm where I am, I'm only doing this because this is all I'm capable of doing. No, that's not true. I'm like this because I'm not worthy. Nope, that's not true. I'm not like this because I'm insignificant. Nope, that's not true. I'm not like this because my parents messed me up. Nope, that's not the fullness of truth. I'm not like this because daddy wasn't there. Nope. That's not the fullness of truth. I'm not saying it's not a truth. I'm saying it's not the fullness of truth. There are things. See, some of you all won't testify, so I'll testify. I'll raise my hand and share with the group, as if, because for some of you all, this ain't just church you watching. Some of you all, this is a therapeutic session between you and God, the counselor, that I just get to eavesdrop, and I get to tell you a few notes and to translate what He's saying so that you can hear it clearly. That way, ultimately, you can step out of this session better than you were before you came into it. So allow me to just kind of step into the spiritual AA meeting that we're having. Yes, me, y'all remember those? We used to have them on Tuesday nights. It started on Thursday nights, actually, in 2016. 2015, now that I think about it, we had these spiritual AA meetings. They were like group therapy. How many of y'all, we should bring some of that back. We used to have like these group therapy sessions. We would just talk about God and what it meant, and we would cry and we would laugh and we would go home better. Like this is, let's just turn this into one of those this morning. Let's be honest. Hi, my name is Teddy, and I was raised without my father in my life. Now, some of y'all watching know because I've shared it. Some of you are watching would have no clue, because you've always heard people that didn't have their father in their life make excuses about why they were where they were. You'll hear them make excuses about how they can't be a parent because they didn't have a parent, how they can't take steps toward becoming a great man because they didn't have a great man. But I want to tell you, that's a lie. They say they're lazy because they never had a man show them how to do something. I never had my dad to show me how to do something. It doesn't mean I couldn't develop a work ethic. Am I making sense? Like, y'all here? I'm telling you, hit the share, but share it. Somebody else need to hear it. Like some of you are right now, you think, oh, such need to hear that. Send it to them. Text them now. Say watch now. Say watch. Yeah, some of y'all petty like me. You ought to send them a message. Say watch and thank me later. Like, so here it is. Like, come on. So that could be a why am I like this, right? Ryan, that could be a why am I like this. I'm like this because this person wasn't in my life. I'm like this because this person wasn't in my life. I'm like this because nobody ever told me this. I'm like this because I didn't know that. So I understand all of that. But that's you telling me about your past. That's not you telling me about in your present what you're going to do so you can step into your future. In our text today, they say, why is this man like this? Why is he like this? Jesus say, he said, look, fools, I know you have your preconceived notions about why this man is like this. I know you think the only reason somebody's like this is because somebody in their life was insufficient. I know you think the only reason they like this is because they're stuck in doom before birth. I know you think that they're like this because somebody had to sin. Now the man is born blind. So how could did he sin in the womb? Because they said, who's sinned, this man or his parents? So it's very presumptuous. This man who's born blind would have had to commit a sin in the womb for the reason for his blindness to be caused by his own sin. So they're really being petty. What they're really saying is, Jesus, what did his parents do that caused him to be like this? Because there's no way the man who's born blind committed this. Like, so, yeah, am I making sense? Like, I don't want to trouble y'all too much, but like, think about it logically. If the reason for the sin was caused by the man that caused his blindness, he was born blind. Now here's the argument. We're all this it's not skipping. I'm repeating it. All that were, this is the Bible, we're all born in sin. We're all shaped in iniquity. All. So the argument could be made that something took place because we're all born in sin and we're all shaped in iniquity. But the fact of the matter is, this wasn't a sin problem. This is what Jesus says back. Jesus says, no, this man wasn't born this way because somebody sinned. I just want y'all to let that sit there for a second. He said, no. Regina pulls it out. It's right there in the Message Bible. It actually says, Jesus said, you're asking the wrong questions. It's message paraphrase. It says it this way. I want to read it to you. He says, you're asking the wrong question. You're looking for someone to blame, and there is no such cause effect here. Look instead for what God can do. Look instead for what God can do. Here's how New International Version says it. It says, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. I'm undeniably about to trouble the waters. I undeniably am about to ruffle some feathers. I unapologetically am about to meddle in somebody's business because some of us have believed the stories of culture that told us the reason. And here it is. I want to give you all a release. I want to extend you all. I don't want to just give you grace because I don't have grace to give. I want you all to give yourself some grace because many of us have been incredibly hard on ourselves because we felt like the reason that this stuff happened to us was because nobody loved us, because God didn't care. The reason why we lost people that we severely cared about was because God was punishing us, and God was doing this stuff because of the stuff that we had did. Because some of us have this theology that God is in the business of paying you back for stuff you did against him. Now the Bible is true, with that which you sow you shall also reap, but God ain't just going around making bad things happen to you because of things you did when you were 8. The reason why I'm not experiencing what I thought I'd be experiencing is because I'm not working hard enough. So I need to start working harder so that God can bless what I'm doing. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't work hard. I want to be clear. That doesn't mean we shouldn't work hard. But here's the truth that you need to know, that I need to know, that we need to know together, even about working hard, that hard work alone don't work. Hard work alone don't work because some of us are working hard on the wrong stuff, and hard work on the wrong stuff ain't never going to make the right thing right. Hard work on the wrong stuff will never make the right things right. Is my mic on? Because some of us, let's just be honest. I'm gonna flow a bit, if that's all right, and then see where we end up. Because some of us are working real hard on some stuff, but we got strategy and we got plans and we got vision boards and we got goals and we got all this stuff, and we working real hard at some of that. But if I was to ask the key and critical question of what's your prayer life looking like? So what are your spiritual disciplines looking like? So you're working hard on the stuff and saying, God bless the stuff. And God's like, I want you to come worship me. I want you to come spend some more time getting to know me. And then if you would get to know me, I'd give you the answer to some of what you've been trying to figure out. You've been working hard on the stuff and not working as hard on the stuff as you need to be working on you. Because if I work on me, if I allow God to do his work in me, if I allow him to cultivate me, if I allow him to build up the character, the integrity, the wherewithal within me, if I continue to allow him to mold me, then whatever door I walk into, whatever room I walk into, whatever opportunity I allow him to shine through me for, he's doing the work. He's just using my hands. I'm not saying we shouldn't have strategy. I'm saying I need a strength from on high on my strategy. I'm saying I need his super on my natural. I'm saying I'm saying that when I walk into a room, I don't just want to be doing the work. I want God to be working through me. I want to be such a vessel and a conduit. I don't want This ain't my message today. I don't want God working despite me. I want God working through me. And there is a significant difference between God working despite who I am and God working through who I am. One is based upon me submitting and surrendering my life to allow him to lead me, guide me, and develop me. The other is a demonstration of Moses, where God is working through Moses despite Moses. And not despite Moses' past, he's working through Moses despite Moses' present. Moses still presently has an anger issue that keeps him from going into the promised land. It wasn't the people, the children of Israel didn't keep Moses out the promised land. Moses' unchecked emotional deficiencies kept him going out of the promised land. It was when God kept saying, here's what I want you to do. And eventually Moses like, I'm sick of this. So he said, speak to the rock, and he struck it. It was his anger issues that ultimately kept him from going where he needed to go. It was his unchecked emotional stuff that kept him from going where he needed to go. So God had been working through Moses despite Moses. The difference between Moses and Joshua was Joshua. It said, Joshua, here's what I want you to do. I want you to meditate on this word both day and night. And I don't want you to stray away from it. Here's what it says in Joshua chapter 1. Don't stray from the left or to the right, but stay along my path. And if you stay along my path, I'll give you good success. Good success. To say I'll give you good success means there's such thing as bad success. And some of us may be experiencing some fruit, but it ain't good success. Some of us may be seeing some people who are experiencing some degree of success in their life, but it might not be good success. Good success, I can be successful and get sleep at night. Good success, I can have peace and be productive. Good success, I can do everything that God called me to do, equipped me to do, challenged me to do, prepared me to do, and I can do it without having to be mean, nasty, and cynical to everybody I talk to. Are we here? See, culture tells us, right? It's the like cute thing like team no sleep, which is the complete opposite of what we read in the Bible. Jesus slept, Jesus rested. It said big boys don't cry. Jesus wept. And we supposed to be more like Jesus. Some of us are putting in a lot of hours on what we. It's not at all my message, Ryan. Shannon, this none of this is my message, right? At least not the way I saw it going. Because some of us, if we like look at our hours, we put in a lot of hours on some stuff, and the fruit ain't matching the hours. So are we working hard on the wrong stuff? Okay, I gotta get y'all out of here. I didn't get through page 1 on my actual notes, and I haven't made it past verse 3 in the Bible. So they're there, and here's the response back. The response back is neither. This man is experiencing this so that the works of God might be glorified. This is happening because I want you to see what God can do. I want you to see what God can do. I allowed this to happen because I wanted you to see what it looked like to be a miracle. If I was in church, I know where to push it, Regina. I was born new school, raised old school. I know if I was in church right here, I'd say somebody ought to just wave your hand and say, I'm ready to be a miracle. Be a miracle. Be a miracle. I'm a living testimony. Come on here, old school church. I'm a living testimony. Be a miracle. God said, I don't just want to do a miracle here. I want you to see what it looks like for somebody to be a miracle. I want you to see for somebody who shouldn't be able to do something, shouldn't be able to experience something, shouldn't be able to recover for something. I want to put their life on display so that you can see what I can do through people who are willing to submit to my plan. So yes, they don't have what everybody else has to get to where they get. I want to use the kind of person who doesn't have everything that everybody says that they need to get done what they need to get done. I want to take that person who shouldn't be there. I want to take that person that doesn't have the background. I want to take that person who feels insignificant. I want to take that person who feels inexperienced. I want to take that person who's willing to humble themselves under the mighty hand of God and believe that in due season, I will indeed exalt you. I want to take that person and I want to put that person on display for my purposes. So you've been like this. Is it possible you've been like this on purpose? He said, this happened that the works of God might be glorified, might be displayed, so that you can see what God can do. It says, as long as the day we must do the works of him who sent me, night is coming when no one can work. And while I'm in the world, I'm the light of the world. After saying this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with saliva, put it on the man's eyes. Go, he told him, wash in the pool of Siloam. He sent him to a place named Sent. So the man went and he washed and he came back seeing. He went and he washed and he came back seeing. This man believed something about God, otherwise he wouldn't have listened. But here it is, y'all. This man also believed something about the possibility of getting better, otherwise he wouldn't have did it. It's both and. Here's how I used to teach it: that healing, that healing is a choice in which both me and God are involved. It's God's choice to heal. It's my choice to believe it's possible. Sometimes nothing's happening because you ain't doing nothing for nothing to happen. What's not happening? Let me see, Regina, let me see if I can put it this way. What's not happening because I don't have the faith to believe it can happen. I've been this way a long time, and I've never done this before, and I've never experienced this before, and I've never had what it took to do this before, and people my age don't get to do this, and that could be old or young. I know other people who went through this, but they didn't recover from it. That don't mean you won't recover. Everybody saw this happen to me. Everybody knows what went down. Everybody knows all of this. Everybody knew this man had been born blind, but he didn't stop that from him pursuing betterment. He didn't let that stop him from pursuing sight. Because your perceived limitations are based upon what you haven't done yet and experienced yet. That's your past. But God is speaking to you in your present about your future. Did y'all get that when I said it earlier? Now I want you to write this next. The future you requires the present you to release the past you. The future you requires the present you to release the past you. The future you requires the present you to release the past you. Because many of us are holding ourselves in a place of regret and condemnation because of our past. And our past is hindering us in our present. And our present, if we don't release our past in our present, we'll never be able to step into who we were created to be in the future. So your past has become the weight that's holding you down. Your reference point of what didn't work is getting in the way of what could work in the future. The fact that it hasn't happened yet is getting in the way of your belief of what God told you he was going to do in your present. Told you he was going to do in your future. He told you he was going to do it. And because he told you it's going to happen in sometime in your life. Because some of you have seen some stuff. God has showed you some stuff. Some stuff about you, some stuff for your family, some stuff for your future, some stuff for your business. He's been showing you some stuff. And because it ain't happened, and because it hasn't happened yet, and because it isn't happening now, you're thinking it ain't never gonna happen. When it could be waiting for you, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but though it tarry, wait on it. For I know the plans, Jeremiah 29, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to give you hope and a future. Plans to give you an expected end. I got plans, but my plans don't happen when you want them. My plans happen when I get ready. And my plans for you happen when I get ready. And most of the time, I'm not ready till you understand that you're more ready than you think you are. I might as well plow this road while I'm here. Because some of you all don't need what you think you need for it to happen. Some of you don't actually need what you think you need to get it done. Jeremiah, since that's who I referenced in 29:11, is the same Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter number 1, who God calls out and says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. I set you apart nor ordained you. I sanctified you. I called you to a work before you were born in your mother's womb. Before you were even formed, I knew you. Before your mama and daddy knew you, I knew you. Before auntie and cousin knew you, I knew you. Before Ray Ray and Tay Tay knew you, I knew you. Before your boo, your baby, your thang knew you, I knew you. Before any of that knew you, I knew you. So whatever they're saying about you is whatever they're saying about you, but whatever they're saying about you isn't as great as what I'm saying about you, because before they knew you, I knew you. Before they knew anything about you, I knew everything about you. I knew you. And here's what he says back to him after that. So here's what I want you to do. Because I know you, and because I don't just know you, I don't just know you on the surface level. I know you intimately because I created you. I formed you. So I formed you and I knew you. So I formed you and I knew you. I don't even before any of them knew you. And I got a work for you to do, Jeremiah. I want you to go out and I want you to speak and I want you to do these things. Jeremiah said, I can't speak for I'm only a youth. God's response back to Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter number 1 is not that you're not a youth. He said, stop saying that. He said, don't say that I'm only a youth. He didn't say you're not a youth. He didn't say I'm gonna make you older. He said, stop. He said, stop talking to me about what you aren't. And for that matter, stop talking to me about what you are. Stop talking to me about what you perceive to be a limitation, because you don't need what you think you need to accomplish my purpose for your life. That's what he tells him. He says, don't say you're only a youth. I'll be with you. And I'll give you the words. I'm going with you. That's Jeremiah, but I mean, we can talk about, you pick a person. And somebody was like, somebody asked me recently, I can't think of who it was, but they were like, why is it so hard to like surrender to God? We back. Don't know. Somebody said, y'all look so stupid. Somebody said you done broke the internet. Somebody else said you done irritated the internet. Whoever is agitated, aggravated, upset, whatever, that's their business. I cast that back into the pit of hell. I bind, as a matter of fact, any demonic distraction, any satanic influence. And I would encourage you, for if you are watching this, specifically watching this live, is that I would encourage you to reflect and say, whoever thought this message wasn't about you, I'd really encourage you to pause for a second to consider whether or not, wait a minute, God was speaking and the enemy thought it was so necessary to try to distract me in a way that I didn't think this was for me, but wait a minute, was this for me? Let me give you what I got to give you. I was talking to you about Jeremiah. Do y'all remember that little boy named Gideon? Judges chapter number 6. He's in Judges chapter number 6. The devastation is happening all in the land. The angel of the Lord shows up to Gideon in Judges 6. Now, Gideon has actually been praying for somebody to do something. He doesn't think somebody will be him. The angel shows up to Gideon in Judges chapter number 6. It says, and calls him a mighty warrior. And tells him, I want you to go and do all this kind of work. And Gideon's response back is, I can't do none of this because I'm the weakest in my clan and I'm the weakest in my father's house. So his perceived limitation was that just because I haven't done it means I can't do it. Just because others see me this way means everybody sees me this way. Just because some people see you some way don't mean that everybody sees you anyway. And you're allowing the lack of vision from some determine the value of all. The value that you have came from God, and just because they don't see it don't mean the people who are supposed to see it won't see it. So he says, I can't do this because I'm the weakest in my clan. That's the perceived limitation, because God tells him this. He says, do it anyway. He says, believe for it anyway. Trust me anyway. Walk in it anyway. Do it anyway. He gets to a place where he feels like he has all these men, because as he's doing it well. And as he's doing it well, he ends up running into another problem. So the people are there. He's got all these men, and the Lord said, you got too many men with you. Wait a minute, God, I told you I was the weakest in the clan, so my confidence and security is going to be found on these men who say they trust me. He says, you got too many of them. Let them go. This is not at all my message today, but is it possible that you have too many of the wrong people around you because you thought you needed more people? The problem wasn't people. Problem was not quantity. Problem was quality. Problem was the people who were speaking into your life, were speaking about your life. The problem was not the quantity. The problem was the quality. Deal with that another day. Some of you got too many of them. So he wants them to go fight this great war with 300 men. If I recall the story correctly, he cuts the men down twice, all the way down to 300. And so I want you to do it anyway. Because I can take whatever you got. I can take whatever you got. I can take whatever you got. I don't need what you think. I don't need what you think I need, and you don't need what you think you need when you got sight and you got me. God's like, I don't need that, but I'm trying to get you to see you don't need that. God's like, I don't need them. I don't need them to get you where I'm taking you. And you need to know you don't need them. I didn't say you don't need anybody. Not what I said, because some of y'all are smart alecks. I said you don't need the people you think you need. Gosh, I gotta shut this down. He said go. I told him to go wash. And he went and washed. Now, that would be that's super strong. Super duper strong. Told him to go and wash, and he did it. Some of you all pay attention, or some of y'all know the story. You're like, wait a minute, Rev, that's not all he did. You're correct. Because some of you are like, man, I can follow that kind of instruction. Go and wash. It don't make sense, but I'll try it. Before he went and washed, it got messy. Before he went and washed, he had to go do something that was incredibly uncomfortable. Because it says that after he said that, he spit on the ground, made some mud, and put it on the man's eyes. Because there's a process. I said that in the beginning. That all of us will go through times in life that get messy. I'm not saying you should hang around messy people. Not what I said. I want to be clear for my smart alecks. But all of us will go through times in life that get messy. All of us will go through times in life that are less than desirable. All of us will go through times in life where it's like, oh, does it mean that God left you? Nope. Does it mean God ain't with you? Nope. This could be happening so that you can see what God can do. Got real quiet in this chat. I said this could be happening so that you can see what God can do. Tasha, you with me? Linda, you with me? Jamie, Patrice. He went and washed, came back seeing. His neighbors asked, isn't this the man that was begging? He said, yeah, that's me. Some of you all have been taking offense to people saying you look different. You ought to be like, yeah, that's me. Some of you all have been taking offense when people say you changed, and you ought to be like, yeah, that's me. I did. I got better. Yeah, that's me. I did. I grew up. Yeah, that's me. I did. God's working through me. Yeah, that's me. It was me. Ain't that the one who used to do such and such? Yeah, that was me. I did used to do such and such. I don't do it no more though. Yeah, I did use that. That was me. I'm guilty as charged. But I was him. I was her, but I ain't him no more. I ain't her no more. But the Bible says there is therefore now no condemnation for them that are in Christ Jesus. That means whatever I did can't still keep causing me to pay a debt I can never repay. Whatever I did before I knew better, I can't go back and undo it no way. So I'm not going to continue to allow it to keep me from going wherever else. So yeah, that's me. Some of them were curious because he would say, like, look at it, like some people asked the question because they were curious. Some others said, no, that can't be him. Because they just convinced you can't ever get better. Like I want to have a real honest conversation here for a second. Because there are some people, no matter how hard you try, no matter how good you look, no matter how good things are happening for you, they ain't never gonna be happy for you. So your concern cannot be the happiness of other people for what God's doing in your life. Hello, I feel Adele. Hello, can you hear me? Some people will never be happy for you. Some people will never see the value of you. Some people will never cheer you on. Some people, and some people can be friends. Some people can be family. Some people can be workers. Some people can be staff. As bad as it sounds, some people can go to your church. Just because I go to church don't mean church in me. They can share your last name or not know your last name. It don't matter. Some of them said, well, how were your eyes open? He said, the man they called Jesus made some mud, put it on my eyes. He told me to go to the pool and wash. I went and I washed. Then I could see. Somebody ought to write this down. God gives the instruction. We do the construction. God does the instruction. Tells us what to do. Tells us how to build. Tells us how to get better. We do the construction. We follow the instructions. And when we follow the instructions, we get a product that he promised. Told me to go wash. I did. And I can see. Where is this man? He said, I don't know. He said, I don't know. Rev, how dare you say that some people ain't gonna be happy for me and me getting better? Where is that? It's in verse 13 through about 34. The Pharisees, the church people, were like, yo, bro, we don't heal on the Sabbath. Who are you and who was the man that did this? Because this ain't right. How dare you? How dare you get better? And how dare you perform a miracle? It's there. Now the day on which Jesus made the mud and opened the eyes, the Pharisees asked him how he received his sight. He said, he put mud on my eyes and he washed and I see. The Pharisees like, man, that can't be from God. God that can't be from God. Others said, but how can a sinner perform such things? This has to be from God. Who else could do it? And this ain't part of my notes, but most of this ain't being known. And this is church. This is very churchy. But I want to tell you, it's so true. There's so much in your life that when you look back over it, and there's so much in your life that you haven't even experienced yet. But there's some stuff that after it's over, there's some stuff that you need to be believing for. And when you're trying to figure out how it's going to happen, the answer back is a simple one. Only God can do it. Only God can. Only God can. And I'm trying to tell you that ain't a bad place to be. Only God can do it. Only God can do it. How does this happen if God didn't do it? It can't. If God don't do it, it cannot be done. I can till the ground, but only God can make it rain. I can lay the seeds, but only God can make it rain. I can get some. I can do a lot of stuff. I can't make it rain. Does it mean I shouldn't do the work? No, it means that only God can bless the work I'm doing. And I only want to do the kind of work that He blessing. The other said, how can a sinner do this? They turn to this blind man and say, what did you say? What did you say? They still didn't believe this blind man. And so they went and sent for his parents. They said, is this your boy? Isn't this the one you say was born blind? How can he see? The parent, I love these parents. I love these parents. These parents, I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of y'all ain't met my mama. These parents remind me of my mama. These parents they real talk about me and my mama. Because they say, we know he our son. We know he was born this way. But how can he see? Who opened his eyes? Go ask him. He of age. He'll speak for himself. Because while she will check you, she'll tell you. Some of y'all know Pastor Eddie do online. Some of y'all haven't encountered the fullness of how to properly put somebody how to properly provide perspective to clarify some things for some people's reality. Do y'all see how I did that? That was real smooth, right? Some of y'all don't know how to properly realign somebody's perception to clarify an alternative reality. It's a nice way of saying you don't know how to check people. And while my mama will fight for me in a heartbeat, depending on the nature of the conversation, be like, y'all, you want to know something? Go ask him. That's what they say. That's what they say. The parents say, go ask him. Because I heard he told you already, so go ask him. He'll speak for himself. This is like fresh off the press. Is it possible some of what's holding you back from experiencing all that God wants to do in your life is when he does it, you won't be willing to speak for yourself? Is if he gave you what you were asking for, would he believe, trust, and know that you would open your mouth, point back to the glory of God, and say, yep, he did it. Yep, he did it in me. Yep, he did it through me. And I tell the world about it. Because if he does it, he's doing it so that the works of God can be glorified through you. If he does it, if he heals you, if he blesses you, if he gives you what you're praying for, he's giving you what you're praying for so that others can see the miracle working in you. They can see you as the miracle. They ask how it happened for you. And you say, yeah, I went to school. Yeah, I did the work. Yeah, I took a couple classes. Yeah, I might have did this. But the only reason I am where I am is but by the grace of God. The synagogue leaders called the parents back again. And they said, the Pharisees wanted up, so they called these Jewish leaders. So they called some more people. They said, look, well, how this happened? The parents said, look, I told y'all before, he is of age. Ask him. They called his boy back again. The boy said, look, this is what he says. They say, you lying so much, you can give glory to God by telling the truth. He replied, y'all calling this man a sinner. I don't know whether he a sinner or not, but one thing I know, I was blind and now I see. And here's what I'm trying to say. There are some people who are going to question the validity of your testimony. They're going to think you lying. And you got to be willing to say, I don't know nothing about what you're talking about. All I know is it was God. And I'm telling you right now, y'all won't testify, so I will. The only reason that me, am where I am, wherever it is I am, experience what I get to experience, whatever it is I get to experience, the good, the bad, ugly, the indifferent, whatever rooms I've been blessed and fortunate to walk in, it ain't got nothing to do with me alone. It was God. And that's my testimony. So I testify before you, but I got a feeling if I was able to turn the mic on for you, you would say, me too, Pastor. The only reason I've seen what I've seen, the only reason I've made it through what I've made it through, the only reason I survived what I survived is but by the grace of God. And now that I realize that God did that, I feel like the scales are coming off my eyes. And as I look back over my life and see what he did for me back then, ain't no telling what I'm going to believe him for my future. Is there anybody watching this right now to say, you know what? I recognize and realize, I'm getting excited. Let me give it to you right here. Here it is. Because I'm over my time. Here it is. Because this man say something I saw for the very first time. This man say something right here. I legit saw it right before I came behind this camera. Because he's talking all this talk to this man like, look, all I know is this man did it. But he makes this statement in verse 30. John 9, verse 30. He says this blind man that's just been here. This is what he says. The man answered, that's remarkable. You talking about you don't know where this man that just healed, you don't know where he comes from, but he opened my eyes. You don't know how I got here. You don't know if that man is godly, but he opened my eyes. He says, we know that God does not listen to sinners. He listens to the godly person who does his will. So you talking about the fact that the man who healed me wasn't from God. He wasn't, not only was he not from, not only did they not believe it was Jesus, they didn't believe the man was godly. They thought the man was practicing some form of witchcraft. They're like, no, only God could do some stuff. Only God could open the eyes of the blind. Only God could do that. Only God. Here's what he says. Like, nobody has ever heard of opening the eyes of a man born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing. Regina, let me talk to you, because I don't know if anybody's ready to deal with this. He says in verse 32, nobody has ever heard of opening the eyes of a man born blind. Oh, let me talk to you, because I don't think they listen. So, like, nobody has ever done this before. So he said, listen, there's other people who may have come through forms of witchcraft, come through forms of all this other kind of stuff, because we've seen other people operate in different spirits, but it wasn't God's spirit. But nobody's ever been able to do this before. So you're telling me if this man that wasn't from God, he wouldn't be able to do nothing. And what excited me about that is when I look at it and I think about it, there are situations and circumstances in all of our life where if you would take out, nobody's ever heard of a man eyes being born blind. Like if you take out that part, nobody ever heard of blank. And you look at your life, yeah, nobody ever came from this place, did this, but God. Nobody ever went through this, came out of this, and kept their sanity intact, because some of you all have gone through some stuff that other people went through less of, and you came out better than them. And it's not a knock at them, it's a brag on God. There's some stuff that I look at my life, the only reason, the only way, the only actual justification and explanation is God did it. And is there anybody watching that needs to become your testimony? And if you don't have a place, if you don't have an area in your life that you can look at and say, only God did this, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying you're blind. You need to pray that the Lord will open your eyes to see the fullness of how he has moved generationally through your life, brought you to where you are, and he's speaking to you in your present to tell you, release your past so you can step into your future. God did it. God did it. God did it. If this man were from God, he couldn't do nothing. But because he was from God, he can do anything. I think about the passage that says, all things are possible with God. I couldn't be where I am if God didn't do it. I couldn't have made it through that if God didn't do it. I couldn't have survived that if God didn't do it. I couldn't have made it out of here if God didn't do it. That would have took me out. If God didn't do it, they would have took me out. If God didn't do it, it would have stopped. I gotta land the plane. I gotta land the plane. I gotta let y'all off. Somebody said in my DJ Khaled voice, God did. That's it. That's how God did. And I hear Ty Tribbett saying, if he did it before. If he did it before. If he did it before. Same God, right? Same God, right? Same God back then. Same God right now. If he did it before, he could do it again. And again. And again. When I look back generationally at the things he's brought our people through, if he did that, I have to believe he could do this. And I don't know what your this is, but here it is. Last thing I say. This man got sight. But he saw something before he could see something. He saw there was something different about this man, because the eyes in your face, these eyes right here, they give you sight. The eyes in your head give you sight. This man saw something before he could see something. His eyes in his head gave him sight, but the eyes in his heart gave him vision. And vision makes you keep believing even when you can't see it yet. He kept believing he could get better before he saw himself getting better. He believed Jesus without ever seeing Jesus. He believed God without ever seeing God. He had sight before he had clarity. He had sight. Did you hear? He had sight. He had vision before he had sight. Before he could see, he could see. He saw something was different. He saw now was my moment. He saw this could happen for me right here. So I'm going to submit and surrender right here. And when you're clear, when you start gaining vision, when the Lord opens your eyes, when the Lord opens your eyes, you move with confidence. When the Lord opens your eyes, you don't care what they say. When the Lord opens your eyes, here's what happens. When the Lord opens your eyes and you get clear, when you get clear about some stuff, you don't allow what they say about you to become true. Because when you're not clear, you allow what they say about you to become what you say about yourself. When you're not clear, you allow what they say about you to become what you say about yourself. You're not going to tell me that Gideon was not rehearsing what somebody else said about him when they called himself the weakest in the clan. Somebody else called that boy weak. And he started believing he was weak because others started calling him weak. He wasn't clear. But David, when they said to David, the only reason you here is because you prideful. You need to be out here. You supposed to be back to tending my father's sheep. David didn't even engage in that. He said, y'all just standing around. Didn't God say, is there not a word? And some of you are living your life based on a lie that you thought was true. Some of you have been living your life on lies that you thought were true. You've accepted some things from people. You've lowered your standards for people. You've lowered what you knew to be best for you for people. You've altered what you felt like God was saying to you about you for people because you've allowed lies to become true. The Bible says let his word be true in your life. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm the lender and not the borrower. I'm above only and not beneath. I am victorious. I am more than a conqueror. I can do all things through Christ that gives me strength. I will mount up with wings like an eagle. I will run and not get weary. I will walk and not faint. I am healed by his power. I am healed by his name. I will not be in this place forever. I will not settle for less than God's best for my life. So, Father, we thank you today for who you are, what you've done, and what you're doing. We simply ask, Lord, that you will have your way. You know what they're going through. You know what they're up against. You know what they've been facing, but we know you. So we submit and we surrender to your work and to your will. Have your way. Pray for decisions that are being made today. Pray that somebody makes a decision. Pray that all of us make decisions. Some people are making decisions just to trust you again, to try you again, to believe you again, to pursue you again. Some of us are doing it again, God. We thank you that you are an again kind of God. So we're coming back to you again, and we believe you. Some people are making a decision for the first time, Lord. So we submit and surrender to that. Those who make a decision to give their life to you for the first time, give their life back to you to join this church family. Whatever the case, we're praying for decisions being made. Some are making decisions to trust you again in the area of generosity. We believe you for that. That they got discouraged, you got off base, got off course, but they're making a decision to try again today. Have your way in our life and through our life. In Jesus' name we pray. Quickly, I want to do this. If you need to give your life back to the Lord, to make any type of decision today, I want to invite you quickly to do this. You need to give your life to the Lord. Give your life back to the Lord. Join this church family. You text the word decided. You're making a decision, whatever your decision is. You want to stay connected to the ministry. You want to go know more about the church. You want to join this church. You want to get baptized. Text decided. Text decided to 708-449-8117 or go to the church website, click that connect button. Whatever the case is, you're making a decision, make a decision today. Whatever your decision may be, I want to invite you to make that decision. Maybe you need to give today. Maybe giving is your decision. You say, you know what? I want to sow into the field I'm reaping a harvest from. I want to sow. I want to give to where God is growing me. I want to give to whatever the vision is God has for the house. And I'm telling you, the vision that God has for the house, some of y'all have heard parts of it, and you're like, man, I want to be a part of it. Some of y'all have heard more parts than others. Like, man, I want to be a part of it. Some of y'all heard about me for the first time today because somebody shared this with you. Like, you know what? I don't know what they're doing, But that word you shared today, it touched me in a way where I want to sow. I want to put seed in the ground. And I want to tell you that when you're sowing your new empowerment, you're not giving to empowerment, you're giving through empowerment. And you're putting seed in good ground. You're putting seed in good ground. I want to invite you to give. You can text the word empowerment to 77977. Text empowerment to 77977. You can give by Cash App, $empowerment church, $empowerment church. You can mail us to the P.O. Box 335, Maywood, Illinois, whatever the case may be, however you're giving to God. I want to invite you to give. I want to invite you to make a decision. I want to invite you to step into God's best for your life. Listen, some of y'all messed up last week, right? Negativity fast, you messed up last week. Pick yourself back up. Pick yourself back up. Do it again. Guarding your eye gates, guarding your ear gates, guarding your mouth gate. I'm gonna send a text message and an email to y'all to remind you. Negativity fast. Let's go all this week. We feeding our mind with the right stuff, feeding our ears with the right stuff, watching what we say with this. We're gonna start speaking things, speaking things, speaking things. God only got what if you don't say nothing else every day, say only God can do it. Only God can say something. Say something. Say something. You got oh, this is so good. Some of y'all got a lot of stuff to say that's negative. You need to find something to say that's positive. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you've been believing lies, so you keep spewing lies about you. You keep spewing lies about what can happen. You keep spewing lies about what hasn't happened yet. You need to fill your heart. Go. What did God say about me that's true? Here's what Paul says in Philippians. He said, whatever is lovely, whatever is noble, whatever is honorable, whatever is above reproach, whatever is good and lovely. He says, think on these things. All right. I done prayed. I done laid a word for your future. I gotta let you go. Miss y'all. I love y'all. Hope you have an incredible day. Talk with you all later. Let's go.